Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a brand new season of the bombasticest of Star Leagues. I'm Rapid. I'm here with Ziggy, and of course, the main man behind the BSL7 is behind the scenes doing all of the production, as always. But it's fantastic to see all of you back for a brand new season of BSL. And it's actually really nice to see you too, Ziggy. I know it's our first time casting. So because you're maybe a little bit new here to the BSL, why don't you introduce yourself to all of our viewers?
Well, my name is Ziggy. I'm the captain of the NetWars team for the STPL. I'm actually surprised the team put that much faith in me. And I'm surprised that Zero put that much faith in me and brought me on as a caster for this league. Yeah, I do Brood War, I do a bit of StarCraft 2 as well, and I absolutely hate being put on the spot to introduce myself. Thanks very much, Rapid.
Killing it. All right, we got that caster synergy. Well, hopefully it gets a little bit better in game. But it is a brand new season, and that means that if you're new to BSL, there's this whole BSL architecture infrastructure. We've got Gosu League, Chobo League, or I don't know if we're calling it that still, but then there's like the Pro League. This is the best of the best after a grueling ladder qualifier. The top 24 players plus 4 qualified from last season are coming head to head for a $1,000 prize pool again, once again sponsored by Blizzard. Big thanks to them. And of course, a big thanks to all of our players and all of our viewers for making BSL what it is. Oh gosh, I almost said the other tournament that must not be named, but it's actually so sick. And there are so many good players, and we're going to be going through, if I'm correct, groups A and B today.
That's right. We like to do things chronologically here at the BSL because, like, for convenience's sake, we're going to be taking a look at groups A and B. Incredible players, like all across the board. A very even skill distribution across all levels of competition. So I'm really quite glad that we've got this, 3-level system. We've got Gosu League, as you mentioned, Gosu League, we've got Pro League, and we've got Chobo League as well. That really ensures we've got an even distribution of skill across the board. We're going to be starting with the sickest of the sick today. We're going to be starting with Terran, Aoken, gOrynich, and seriOsity in Group A, and then Ghost Dark, Tech, Favorit, and Ultra in Group B. I believe we're going to be taking a look at our player profiles in just a moment.
Yeah, well, dude, we've got production value out of places you've never heard of. Like, there's so much stuff going on. Here's today's matches, which we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Just some of the best players. We've got like gOrynich, who is just so good. He kind of started off the revival of Brood War by doing incredibly well in the was it Italian StarCraft festival like two and a half years ago, something like that. And he's still one of the best Russian players out there, also known as Not For You, if you know him by that. Aoken, of course, super old school player. Terran, bringing the South American love, and of course seriOsity, that tier list guy. But then also there's Gosu Dark, Tech, Favorite, and Ultra in Group B, which is going to be maybe a little bit closer. And I think one of the big things for me this season is just kind of figuring out, okay, where are these players? I haven't seen a lot of these guys play in a while, so it's time to figure out which players deserve to advance. And it's all best of ones, so it's like old school ASL format. So I'm just saying we might have some fast games.
Yeah, just as you said, we've got a best of one format here in this particular phase of the tournament, and even though we do have clear favorites in basically every single group, I'm a bit apprehensive about counting anyone out. Just like even Group A, we've got Terra, we've got Aoken, we've got seriOsity, the new kid on the block. I wouldn't be so sure as to call him, down and out just yet, just because of that best of one format. And, the fact that, these guys wouldn't be here if they didn't deserve to be here, right? It's not as easy to get into BSL Pro League, even though it might seem relatively straightforward. You just need to ladder and you get in. Trust me, it's not that easy. So, just making it into this tournament really means quite a lot. From what I remember, seriOsity actually played in Chobo League twice. So he's made quite a lot of progress since we last saw or heard of him.
Yeah, he still doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so if you wanted to get on that, make one, then somebody should hook him up with that. But that is perhaps the dopest player picture I have seen in a while. My man, Alexander Yera. And I'm not going to pronounce gOrynich's name because my Russian is not that good, and neither is the romanization of the Russian Cyrillic alphabet. So I'm going to do us both a favor and just say gOrynich is really good. And I would say probably pretty favored in this situation, but I mean, we can't count them out. I mean, just because they are number 12 and number 24 doesn't mean this new best of 1 format isn't going to kick in with some crazy cheese.
Yep. But just as you said, you know, gOrynich, I would have said that like 2-3 years ago. He was one of the best Zergs we had outside of South Korea, but nowadays, I mean, to be honest, I think he's fallen off in terms of skill a little bit. I haven't actually seen him play that much recently.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, anything goes here. We're going to have to wait and see which map they actually choose for their first match for this opening game of Group A.
Yeah. I just can't wait for us to fill in seriOsity's player page, because like it's looking a little lonely there. We've got all sorts of sick graphics and stuff, but we can't actually, you know, show any stats there. But our first game is going to be on Gladiator. I'm really excited to kick off the season of BSL. What do you think about Gladiator for this matchup, ZVP?
I'm not well versed in the ZVP, to be perfectly honest. As I've told you, I'm a Terran player, so I'm going to be leaning quite heavily on you here. We're going to have to wait and see what these guys go for. You know, I did get to cast one of the qualifiers here, one of the ladder tournaments for the BSL, and we did have a few funky games in this particular matchup. We did have some special tactics. Well, not exactly micro special tactics, but you get the idea. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens in this match. Maybe a Hydra Bust, you know, maybe the 8-7-3-4 build that's been quite prevalent in Korea in recent times. That has supposedly broken ZVP.
Oh, I mean, I remember when like what was it, 137 was like the new hotness, and now it's like 137 whatever the number after that is. I don't know, but like there's these new variations that are certainly starting to kind of break things down. I was watching Zero. Well, I think he was explaining the build. My Korean's not that great, but he was trying to like really go over and explain a lot of that build on stream. Zero's my girlfriend. We have a deep romantic relationship where I watch him build, and he's just that good. Oh, not this Zero. I was talking about the pro gamer Zero. Oh, but yeah, but also this Zero. Both great Zerg players in their own right. But there's a lot of cool stuff happening with Zerg these days, and the poor Protoss players, man, they just can't get a break. They're trying to win, but their units just aren't as good as. I
mean, that's what you get for picking Protoss.
Oh, so many memes. I'm looking forward to casting this first game, so I can't wait to get into our first game of BSL Season 7. I think we're ready. Are we ready? We're ready. All right, sick. So let's do it. It's game number 1 of BSL Season 7, seriOsity taking on gOrynich on Gladiator. All right, now we have some wipes and some player intros, so I don't know what I'm allowed to start talking, but I'll figure it out eventually. Okay. All right, I promise we'll get better as the games go on. But here we are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to BSL Season 7, set number 1, game number 1. In the bottom left-hand corner in the orange is gOrynich. And then I'm tossing it over to Ziggy to introduce our other player.
In the top right-hand corner of the map, that is Gladiator, the purple Protoss, representing the United States of America, if I'm not mistaken. We've got a seriOsity playing for Team Nats.
God, I'm so disgusted that like you have like this sick UK accent. I'm just like, I would try to do that, but I would just sound pretentious and like I was appropriating somebody else's culture. So I'm gonna steer away from that. But sick intro. You're already off to a great start for your first official BSL Season 7 cast. Well, I guess you did it before, but like, you know,
yep. Well,
the season itself.
Yep. Right, so we've got the Zerg players spawning in the bottom left, the pros player in the top right. That's definitely gonna throw a wrench in the works if you want to go for a quick Hydra Bust, maybe the 9-7-3-4. Yeah, you know, that's like the distance if you spawn diagonally is definitely much longer than if you were to spawn horizontally or vertically. So
yeah.
As soon as, you know, gOrynich spots his opponent, that's definitely gonna steer him in the right direction. Now we've got an overcool opening here, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, Overpool is sort of the go-to build for Zerg against Protoss because it gives you a little bit of greediness, but then also if you're getting too gated or something, you're not just going to straight up die like if you went for like a 12 hatch or something. So I've seen, I forget, we had one player 3 hatch before Pool versus Protoss. He didn't get scouted, he got away with it, and he looked like a genius, but everybody else that tries that dies. So like, let's just not get too crazy here. And that's exactly what's happening. These are totally standard builds on both sides. We've got a Forge Fast Expand coming out from our Protoss player versus an Overpool, and they're gonna find out that each other's cross positions, so it's not like there's gonna be a whole lot of early action to start.
Yeah, we're going to have to kill some downtime. Are you good at killing downtime when there's nothing happening? Because I've got literally no banter. I can't do small talk.
I feel like speaking with a UK accent but being bad at banter is like an oxymoron. Like, you're not allowed to do that. But I would say that for the most part, the cool things to talk about are we're back with another season of BSL. One of the reasons that Ziggy is here is because we have to look forward to the other regular BSL commentator Nyoken casting a little bit later on, or playing a little bit later on. So we've got some awesome stuff there that's going to be happening. We've got an entire season of badass games, and eventually we get a chance to cast the former champion, or the former champions like Eon Zerg and True Touch and a whole host of other legendary players. So it's just going to be such a sick season, and it starts off with a little bit of downtime. So I'm glad we have time to talk about how badass everything is.
I just wanted to point out that I think the main reason I'm here is because I'm a casting god. You don't know yet, but we're going to see how it goes. Yeah, so we've got another probe still scouting, Gorinych's space. Oh, he actually managed to slip through there.
Well, I mean, it's a probe,
so yeah, it's a probe.
It just gets in. Unless it's like a Flash SCV. Dude, I remember, I think it was Shine in the ASL finals that he played against Flash. He's like doing some like super sneaky one base lurker all in. And he's got his ramp blocked. It's a narrow ramp, it's 1 drone wide, and Flash sends his SCV up there with like 2 HP. And he's like, let me just get into this base. And he like glitches the drone out of the way, slides on through, scouts the 1 hatch lurker, and bops them. And I'm just like, okay, like that's just not fair. And that's how it feels every day to be a probe, but without any of the badassery. You just get it for free. So
are you talking about the season where Shine got to the finals against Flash?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't even remember which one that was. BSL 5?
Season 4, I want to say. 3 or 4, something early on. Back when Flash was killing everybody.
He still is.
I guess I can see it. He's so badass that he even had to be the reason that he stopped playing in tournaments too. The only person that could beat Flash is literally Flash's own body.
He sent himself into retirement.
He had to go out on top. But hey, as far as the game's going, one of the reasons we're not really talking about a whole lot is because basically it's completely standard. There's a Hydra Den, we're getting Hydra speed, and we're just like gonna go Hydras against Protoss, name a more iconic duo. So there's also gonna be Dark Templar coming out as well, which shouldn't surprise anybody. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm always curious when we're gonna see that Stargate come down, but it hasn't happened yet.
I think seriOsity misscouted his opponent because he didn't see the 3rd hatchery on the mineral only by gOrynich. He sent his Zealot to the bottom right, so that was a bit of a misplay, I think. A misread, maybe. Okay. Because, I mean, maybe he could have... Because he would have been checking for a 3rd drone, probably going for a quick 3rd hatch. Otherwise, he would have sent the Zealot towards the mineral only, probably, to do a bit of harassment, but it seems like a bit of a misread. So we've got a 2nd gateway there, as you said, right? We've got Templar Archives on the way. Gonna have to wait when that Stargate does come down. We've got a couple of Hydras now moving across the map. But yeah, is this actually gonna be the 8-3-4? Yeah, it looks like it. Obviously having the main 9 in the main. We've got 8 in the natural.
Okay, so
yeah, it looks like it, but with an extra drone.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like things always work out perfectly for these numbers. You can't just say, well, it's not the number of drones, so, like, it can't be that build. I'm like, yes, it can. Like, it's not perfect every time, guys. Pro players still make mistakes, so, like just chill out a second. So, obviously, there's quite a few Hydras here, and there's a fake version of this build, but it comes with less Hydras, so by now, seriOsity is 150% sure he is going to face a whole lot of aggression. But it's all about like how you deal with it, right? Do you spam cannons and then your opponent backs off in macros and you feel bad about it? Or are you just desperately trying to hold on while your opponent's desperately trying to kill you? And I think that's the situation we find ourselves in. The board's just going to... Yeah, the board's going to go down here, but with +1, I think this is actually going to be like huge.
Yeah, the +1 was just about to finish, but a decent read from seriOsity. He actually went for that second gateway. He got that storm up, and it's halfway done. So this, as long as he holds on for the next like 30, 40 seconds, it's going to be fine. You know, so there's a couple of drones, reinforcing a bit of a misclick there.
Yeah, I think that's like a missed rally point. I thought that for a second he was going to glitch the Zealots when they tried to push the Hydras back and then really big brain him, but I think that's actually just a missed rally point.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do that, to be honest. There's not enough Hydras here. There's 6 cannons. I'm pretty sure he actually saw the High Templar behind. He might have not seen him, actually.
He might go forward to like either snipe a cannon or just like be annoying and keep the pressure up. But yeah, Storm is out, or at least it will be out soon. So, you know, there's a little bit of a timer on here. But I think the biggest victory there is canceling +1. That is gigantic.
Yeah, I suppose, because the +1 has only just restarted at the main base on the Forge. Yeah. And gOrynich is going for a fourth of his own. He's still kind of containing his opponent. But I suppose seriOsity could break out whenever he wanted, because he's going out to 5 gateways. 7 gateways. He's going out to 7 gateways. This big brain time. This special tactics.
This is for sure special tactics. 4 more gates on the way. This is going to be gigantic. So one of the reasons that canceling +1 is so huge is because the Protoss player wants to bust out with a bunch of Zealots and either pressure killing a hatchery or take a 3rd base eventually. But you can't do that unless you're actually a threat to the Hydras. And by now, in theory, there's been enough time for so many Hydras to come out that if you don't have +1, you shouldn't be able to kill them fast enough unless you're like landing storms everywhere. But I would say that with all of these gateways, we could still see seriOsity surprise gOrynich quite significantly.
Yeah, I mean, he could. I would really like to see a couple of overloads maybe flying in, but there's none to be seen there, really. So he's not going to be able to confirm his opponent's tech choices here.
That is really interesting that he doesn't have any overlords nearby.
But he hasn't seen a Stargate. He hasn't seen anything else. So I think it's safe to assume that he's going to be getting ready for a massive Protoss push here. We've got the first Zealots coming out. We've got Dark Temple slipping out through the bottom there. I think that overlooks spotting as well. A massive contingent of Hydras in the middle of the map.
Yeah, that's right. And I was just gonna say, like, I want to see what happens to these Zealots, right? Normally the Zealots are supposed to bust out and then like run across the map and chase the Hydras back home, but they just don't have +1. So I mean, maybe they're fast and they can maybe get a couple of Hydra kills, but this is like the only thing keeping you from getting busted aside from a couple storms behind this. So now finally seriOsity is gonna bust out with the power of all of these gateways pumping on 2 bases. This is going to be, I mean, maybe not it, but it's going to be a big moment here. And look at these 3 drones fighting valiantly in the middle of the map.
You know what? I'm actually a bit surprised that gOrynich isn't going into lurkers just yet. Because I mean, seriOsity doesn't have a robo, doesn't have an observer. So if you get sufficient lurkers, the Protoss player is not going to be able to break out. Sure, you can kill a lurker with 2 storms, but you only get so many storms. There's 3 High Templar here. They've got like 6 storms across them. Decent storms in the Hydras, but also decent juju from gOrynich. He snipes all the High Templar, and now all he needs to do is hold on here. Protoss players on 2 bases. He's not really reinforcing anymore. There's plenty of Zealots stuck in his natural there. Not really reinforcing there. This particular push, so it seems like it's fairly straightforward hold for gOrynich.
Yeah, sniping those High Templar is huge. The whole thing about High Templar is like they gain value over time. So even if you have to sacrifice some stuff to kill them, that just means they're never going to be able to build up that energy and be so cost effective. So they're not building up storms. The bases are still alive. Aside from losing a few drones to bad rally points, gOrynich is kind of killing it here. He really hasn't taken almost any damage. That DT was like a little bit annoying, but it's not. He doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And even though +1 has kicked in for gOrynich, now there's mutas out. Oh no, there's High Templar. They're gonna get picked out. Oh, the storms though, very, very good. But he's gonna have to keep landing them. One more. Does he have one more storm? No. There's no more storms here. All the mutas are very damaged, but there's no High Templar left.
Yeah, there's no follow-up damage. The Zealots are getting razed to the ground. A couple of more mutas popping out as well. The Hydra numbers are thinning out a bit. There's a couple of Dragons also joining the fight here, but it looks like seriOsity is on his last leg. He's trying to take his third here, but it might be a bit too late. What is the coverage, by the way? He's only got +1 attack here. I mean, gOrynich is on 3 Evo chambers. Got +1/+1 on his Hydras. I think he's got +1 melee as well.
Yeah, I believe he does. He actually? Yeah. I mean, I guess
+1 melee for his. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, basically, gOrynich, having held on there with his opponent only on 2 bases, is in a very, very good spot. He's got 4 hatcheries, almost fully saturated. He's mining an insanity amount of gas, and he's under basically no pressure. So now it's his turn to put the pressure on to this third base, and this is every Protoss player's hardest point of the game. How do you get a third base? And especially after kind of delaying it for that big gateway swell, it's just going to be so difficult for seriOsity to take that.
There's absolutely no way he's going to be able to get out of his base for the next couple of minutes. He's had to actually spend even more money on static defense, a couple of more cannons in the main base being put down in case those mutants try and fly in and find a bit of damage there. He's only got like, what, 1 more, 2 High Templar left. He doesn't necessarily have the sufficient number of Zealots to fight Hydras head on. So, yeah, gOrynich has got free reign over this game. As long as he contains the Protoss on 2 bases, you know, there's literally no way he could lose this, right?
So I'm thinking about, as a caster, I feel like I always have to look for that silver lining to the cloud whenever one player gets ahead. And the only thing I'm thinking about is the way I see a lot of Zerg players throw games is either by trying to kill their Protoss opponent and running into tons of storms and cannons, which is obviously like never a super great idea. Or they randomly lose every drone to like DT shenanigans. So just get your overlords and your Sunkens or whatever it takes. You can see he's got like Scourge down at the south and side of the map at the 6 o'clock. He's ready to go. He's got the Mutas patrolling the map. Yeah, gOrynich is killing it right now.
See, when you're a player, like your default mindset is that your opponent's going to play a perfect game, but obviously that never happens. So theoretically, obviously, seriOsity could land storms that kill 10 Hydras each, right? And then gets himself back into the game and somehow fights his way through. But, you know, like if you're a player, it really seems like gOrynich can't necessarily lose this game. He's going into Hive. You know, he's going to start gaining Defilers at some point, maybe going to go into Ultras. I don't know. We'll see what he goes for. He did skip the Lurkers, which was a bit surprising to me, given the fact that seriOsity stayed on a very heavy gateway composition. He didn't even have, like, observers for a very long time. But he did manage to hold on. Now he's got these Mutas instead. Mutas that give him quite a lot of intel. Maybe give his opponent back as well. Also, he's going to be able to try and snipe a couple more High Templar if he feels like it. There's only like 2 or 3 more out on the battlefield. I can only see 2 and 3 and plenty of Dragoons. So as long as he takes good fights, snipes those High Templar, he shouldn't have any trouble beating this Protoss army.
Yeah, I mean, these are 0/0 Mutas, so they will die pretty quickly to things like Storm and Dragoons.
Yeah, but they're only there to snipe the High Templar, basically.
Exactly. So they've got one job, and they actually don't have that difficult a job because if you're running over the army, you don't want to storm your own army, so that might make it more difficult. And the High Templar are few in number and high in energy, so you just got such juicy targets here. I would say the double expo here from seriOsity is a really cool way to maybe get back into the game. But look at the Mutas. They're heading right for it. Oh, this is so beautifully played by gOrynich, never letting seriOsity get any of these opportunities to come back.
Yeah, he split his army in twain. The High Templar actually went to the right to beat the Mutalist, and he had no AoE to beat the Hydralist. He is taking a decent fight here in the low ground. He's got that high ground advantage on that little pizza edge, or however you want to call it. But there's like 5 Lurkers on the side of the Zerg. There's no way of breaking this.
But he has no... Yeah, these are actually fantastic storms, but he has no Overlord to see the Observer. If you kill that one Observer, then your opponent just has to back up. But he can't kill the Observer because he has no Overlords here. That's such a huge moment here, but he does have, oh, by the way, just a lot of units. So this is like a nice sort of back and forth between these pizza wedges, with both players kind of overextending, and finally, I think, losing that army. That was the only thing that seriOsity had to do. He taps out GG, and gOrynich takes game number 1 and will advance on to the winner's match of Group A.